The Navy Blues, I have them at number 9.
I'm struggling to come to terms with that assessment of the Blues.
Angry and disillusioned.
Well, I mean, I've heard comments this week. Do Carlton really have a spine? Who are your key position players? But I mean, they've got a midfield that's scary. They can move the ball from one end to the other just with that midfield itself. But I mean, I can see some logic to that call. I mean, you're going to need, a Waite or a Cruiser or a Hampson in that sense to stand up. And I was a little concerned having a look at Thornton and Jamison the other night. They were a bit slow. But, the new guy, Watson, looked good. Dugan looked okay. So, I mean, yeah, I'm interested to see how far Simon White's off as a defender. But, I mean, defensively, I'm still worried if I was a Carlton supporter. I'd be very, I guess, concerned with that. I mean, bar like the Houlihan's maybe helping out with a bit of run off the back line there. I think 9's a little harsh. I probably would have had them maybe 6th or 7th, but yeah, I mean, it's line of the ball stuff with Carlton and Ratton. I mean, they really need to get off to a good start. They need to belt Richmond and they need to keep that form going against the Gold Coast. And then against one of the Collingwoods or Essendons or those traditional games, they need to get across them pretty quickly and hopefully, finish off with a pretty consistent winning percentage.
But that is, and you've touched on it there, that is, my issue with Carlton is they have no key position players. They would not have one key position player in the top 30 in the AFL. I mean, Waite you could squeeze in as a key position player, but he's a utility. He's a true utility player, Jared Waite. And my issue, firstly, with Carlton is they have no key position players, and secondly, they don't have a zone. I can guarantee in the off-season, the number one thing Carlton would have been working on is getting this frontal pressure, getting this zone together. And I think that style of football, the zone type of football works, but you need those big bookends at each end of the ground. If you want to zone off, if you want to force turnovers, you've got to kick long into your forward line, and that's where you need a dominant forward. And to defend against that style of football, that's where you need the dominant tall defender. And all the teams, or a rebounding defender, and like you say, Matty Watson or Deegan or one of these guys, but come on, you're giving me Matty Watson and Deegan. I mean, look at the teams you're going to try and go up against.
Well, I mean, these are first-year players. It's very worrying. I mean, I didn't think Jamison had a lot of speed the other night. I'll say it again. I was very concerned with a couple of the traditional Carlton defenders or defenders that are going to be playing all games this year. I mean, they looked very slow. And I guess against those, if the teams are moving the ball that maybe and rebounding that quickly, I mean, these guys in one-on-ones are probably more than not going to get beaten unless you can find some other talent there. I mean, maybe you're going to see Jared Waite playing in defence and Cruiser up forward and a different look forward line, maybe with the Betts and the Gartlets in that sense. So, I mean, he's probably going to have to sacrifice one of the tall guys that you'd probably think may play up front in the back line because there's just not a lot down there.
To me, Carlton's running players are elite, if not the best in the competition. Carlton have excellent medium to small size running players. Really, they're overrun with medium to small size running players. I mean, you take Judd, Murphy, Simpson in the middle, and they're all outstanding players. They run hard. They've got a lot of foot speed. You got Gibbs, whether you want to use him off halfback. Gibbs, Scotland, off halfback. I don't even mind Armfield. I think he's got a bit of potential as well. I know a lot of Carlton fans don't like him. I think he'll get it together. But Walker, I see him up forward with Walker, Betts, Yarran. I don't know if they're going to use him down back or not, and Garlett. And I think they're overrun with these medium-sized players. And what you'll see with Carlton is that when a team gives them room and they decide, all right, let's have a little bit of a shootout and we'll give you a little bit of room in the midfield and you give us a little bit of room in the midfield, Carlton absolutely torch teams. And you saw that with St Kilda and you saw that with Geelong. They both thought, all right, well, Carlton, maybe we don't want to go into physical here because maybe we can just beat Carlton on pace and skill, and they got absolutely torched because Carlton's running players are second to none. But if this style of zone football, if Carlton are going to transition to this style of zone football, which every team's going to have to, they're going to set up, every team has to have a structured zone set up the same as what we've seen from Collingwood and St Kilda to be competitive this year. And if they transition to that style of game, you need the big target up forward, and I think that's just it's really gonna hurt Carlton. I mean, I've got them ranked ninth, and there's no doubt they can beat Sydney, Adelaide, Fremantle, who I've got ranked above them. And from there, it's only Hawthorn and the Dogs, and they're a top 4 side. So Carlton are thereabouts, but for me, that lack of key position talent and the fact that they're one of the latecomers to the party with setting up the zone or the frontal pressure, as it's getting called now, puts them down there in my rankings for me.
Yeah, a bit harsher. I have them a bit closer in the 8, but fair call on a lot of those points. It's big concerns for the defensive outfit for Carlton.